Trends of abuse, murder, and rape are common for Black Americans to experience by the hands of the police. Below are two recent news articles reported on a national news website. Hare had been untruthful. The report concluded when comparing several statements put forth by Officer Hare to the evidence and circumstances, he made probable false statements. It stated a single incident could be attributed to a lapse in memory or confusion. However, Officer Hare's verifiable false statements emerged as he described multiple facets of the events. Hare's actions also demonstrated a significant lack of understanding and competency. Regarding his directives and the role of the police officer in general, the report stated Officer Hare's inability to perform and abide by the department's procedures, combined with the circumstances of a solo male officer locking himself in the rear cabin of a patrol vehicle outside of Las Colinas, required PSU to investigate a possible sexual assault by an officer, the report stated. If Officer Hare had followed the multiple department procedures he neglected to obey, the criminal allegation and investigation may not have been moot. Hare told investigators that he had stopped the car and gotten into the back, accidentally shut the door behind him, locking them in the holding cage together. Hare also claimed he knocked his body camera off its clip when he exited the vehicle. Roughly 20 minutes after the car stopped, Hare called an officer asking if he had a master key for the vehicle, sounding panicky. The Florida deputy who killed Roger Forson, a Black United States Air Force airman, has been fired from his position at Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office on Friday. Deputy Eddie Duran shot Forson, 23, 6 times on May 3rd. Body camera footage of the shooting shows the deputy shooting Forson multiple times within seconds of the active duty airman opening his apartment door. The sad thing about that incident, not only was he active duty, but the police officer went to the wrong door first. He got off on the wrong floor. The body camera cut off and then it cut back on as he finally found the correct door. Also, like most officers of the Caucasian race, he did not listen to anything coming out of the mouth of the person whose door he knocked on. So he did not have grounds for arrest, though he was answering a complaint, and he ended up shooting him. Sounded like he came back home from being on tour and whatever he drove or his clothing or him going to the mail, whatever they had on going on around that apartment complex prior to, stopped and focused on that airman. So that was ridiculous to me. The AAFS promotes justice for all integrity through forensic science. Forensics psychologists and psychiatrists address a broad range of legal issues when they work on criminal cases in other areas such as family, domestic relations law. General forensic science are always willing to consider accepting new disciplines that develop in response to the need of the justice system. Interpol offers a range of services, including training databases and operational support, to help law enforcement agencies around the world increase the capacity to detect and investigate these crimes while protecting victims and vulnerable people. If the AAFS and Interpol are involved in training as well as implementing new programs within the criminal justice system, racism, implicit bias, racial targeting, racial discrimination, and over sentencing of Black Americans should be reduced as well as address the issues of overcrowding in jails and prisons. If a forensics evidence file is required and must be reviewed by a judge, forced plea bargain deals should be declined and more inmates should receive proper sentencing or have his or her case dismissed due to lack of evidence to proceed instead of making the person take a plea bargain deal as well as having a criminal record. The judge would have to believe there is enough evidence to consider sentencing a person, especially when the charges have been by the potential victims and picked up by the state or state attorney. Interpol will be able to rebuild an old policing system created by the minds of people who follow the beliefs of enslavement, lynching, and punishments, which could result in death, reducing abuse of the Black community by police officers. Starting a program or operation in America, helping to decline racial targeting and a potential genocide of Black Americans by the American criminal justice system, which is mainly employed by the white Americans, a majority race. Increased funding will be needed for all local and state policing agencies, implementing new training programs, provide new or additional forensics technology, as well as satisfying the need to hire more people within the criminal justice system. Through a police a police reform has been spoken about since nationwide publicity about the deaths of Trayvon Martin, Breonna Taylor, Botham Jean, Tyree Nichols, and many more. Black Americans are dying almost monthly by the hands of uniformed police officers without having a chance of being innocent until proven guilty in the American court system, while detained when a free person in American society. I will keep going. Oh, no. Okay, almost done. References. A former Mississippi police officer was sentenced to a year in federal prison, followed by a year of supervised release, along with fines and assessments for forcing a man who he arrested to lick urine off the holding cell floor. Michael Christian Green was sentenced to the maximum penalty for a federal misdemeanor acting under color of law to deprive a person of their civil rights. The former Pearl Police Department officer pleaded guilty in March and is scheduled to report to the Federal Bureau of Prisons on July 26. Green worked for the Pearl Police Department for 6 months after working at other law enforcement agencies in Jackson, Mississippi. Pearl is in the same county where six white former law enforcement officers, some who called themselves Goon Squad, were sentenced on federal and state charges after pleading guilty to a racist assault on two innocent black men. That was in 2000. Thank you for listening and have a great day.